So, Teachers Pay by Elvie Borum. I'm going to be talking about teachers' pay and how big of a deal it is, and how it's been a big deal for such a long time and nothing has really been done about it. And I'm just going to talk a little bit more about that. Description. So, teachers' pay is a big deal and has been for a really long time in education. Teachers' pay has continued to decrease as years go on due to budget cuts and federal funding of stuff not like teachers' pay. Teachers feel as though they are not paid enough with the amount of work that they have to do in the classroom. As someone that's in the classroom, I can agree. And as someone that has watched teachers and seen how much work that they do, it's crazy the amount of work that they have to do, not only in the classroom but after school hours when they don't even get paid, and then when they do get paid is not anywhere close to where they should be getting paid. I mean, they could change professions and get paid 10 times more doing less work in another profession. I just think it's really discouraging and not really great. So, how do we see the impact? There are many ways that this impact can be seen throughout the education system. One of the most obvious ways is how outspoken teachers and school workers are about this, and is becoming uncomfortable. And teachers becoming uncomfortable in education without the compensation they feel like they need. So there's several ways. I'll get more into it later on in the presentation about the different ways that you can see the impact, like in the education system and in the education in and of itself and in society. But as a whole, teachers are very outspoken about it. Teachers talk about it all the time, about how it's not good for the students nor the teachers nor the education system as a whole, but there still is nothing to be done about it, and it's a very controversial issue. You'll see later on in the presentation that there are lots of pictures showing protests that teachers have done, so it's a pretty big deal. But you can see the impact throughout the whole entire education system. Where do we see the impact? This impact can be seen in the increase in teachers leaving education because they feel like they are not being paid enough for the work that they do. Teachers are becoming more burnt out and unwilling to go above and beyond. This can lead to issues with certain children's needs not being met properly. So because of the burnout and the constant tiredness and not having the willingness to go and to put their 100% in the work because they're not being paid for the work that they do, so why are they pouring into this when they're not getting anything back, which is a huge failure. It's making them be super unwilling to go and meet children's needs because each child is unique, and all of them have different needs, and so it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time for teachers to go in and learn each unique need that each children has, and then conduct their classroom in a way that meets every children's needs to make them succeed in their education. And if you're not being paid for it, then there's no use in going through all that, and that's where a lot of teachers find themselves, making them leave and just being extremely tired and just unhappy with their job. So, what are the effects on education? The effects of teachers not being paid enough can be seen in the increase in class size. This results in the burnout of the other teachers who are staying in education even though the pay is less, creating a cycle of failure in the school system for both teachers and students. So because of the increase in class sizes, it makes the class harder to manage. And if you have maybe one or two behavioral issue students, then that causes a big distraction and a big issue with the other students getting the proper attention that they need and support that they need, because the teachers are constantly trying to worry about the other 46 other students because the class sizes are just crazy, and it's super hard to have classroom management when you have a classroom that size and to be able to meet the needs of every kid, like I was saying before, because there's just so many kids, it becomes almost impossible, because students really thrive off of small groups. That's why small groups are such a big focus in education, and there's tutoring pullouts all the time, and you're not getting anywhere close to small group attention when you have a crap ton of kids in your class. Who feels the impact the most? Now, this can go a lot of ways, but the way I chose was when thinking about who could feel the impact of teachers not being paid enough the most, people would normally think teachers, but I don't believe this case though. I think that students feel the impact the most. Students are not having consistent teachers that are willing to meet every need that they have and go above and beyond for their education. Teachers have a choice to leave while students do not. So it's kind of unfair to students because teachers, they might feel like they're not being paid enough, but they have the choice to leave education as a whole. Students don't. Students legally have to get their education. Their education is their right as an American. And when they're not having teachers that are willing to give them a good education, then they're not going to receive it. And then that just sets them up for failure in life. And then it creates a cycle of teachers being burnt out and tired and leaving the profession, and then students not being able to get a good education. And it's a cycle, and it's really bad for the students because the students are not, I mean, even throughout the school year, I've seen in schools where teachers will leave midway through the school year and another teacher will come in, or they'll have a bunch of subs, and it's just super non-consistent for the kids, which is horrible, especially for younger elementary age, because consistency and is really key for them, and not having constant change is great, is ideal, really. Not that they could not succeed without it, but it makes it a lot harder. Why do we need change? Change needs to happen because it is going to cause long-term issues in schools, the education system, and society as a whole, with teachers struggling to make ends meet while also trying to help students succeed the best they can. Students not having access to full support will bleed out into society when students go out into the workforce. So this is what I was saying before about society as a whole, and the impact that it's going to have on society, because if students are not getting a proper education, then they're not going to be able to be a good worker in the workforce. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And if we don't have teachers that are willing to give a good education because they're not being paid enough, and all the good teachers or quality teachers are leaving, then you're not going to have a good workforce, and it creates a cycle. Not even a cycle, it's just a dead end of just not good stuff. I mean, people are going out into the workforce and failing over and over and over again, and then they're having kids and they're bringing them into the education system, or they're furthering their education in college, and it's almost impossible, and it creates society. Honestly, this is taking it to a really far extent, but honestly, it's going to cause society to crumble as a whole. Because if we don't have people working to hold up society, then society will fall apart. But I'm not saying that will happen. That's just like the extreme, and I feel very passionate about it. So that's what I think personally. Why is it relevant? This subject is relevant because it has a direct effect on how children are receiving their education right now. The pay affects the school's abilities to keep and to get quality teachers. By doing this, it will help literacy and graduation rates grow up, helping the school system as a whole. So when we have good quality teachers and we're able to keep them, there's a literacy crisis going on in schools and education right now. There's been an increasing rate of illiterate students graduating from high school, and that really starts with lower education, and then is nurtured and not developed. Literacy is nurtured, and there's not effort for it to develop into literacy by the upper grades in education. And that's just that's really sad. And more and more people are dropping out of school as a whole. So they're not graduating. And if we have these quality teachers and we pay them more, and they have a reason to stay, and they have a reason to put in the effort in the school system, then we will make these rates go up, and it will just help everything as a whole. It's all connected. It's just all connected. And if the small thing, like how much teachers are paid, changes, it can increase the entire system so much. But for some reason, they don't like to say that or see that. I don't know. How does it impact us? This matters to society because the education of young people is what the workforce will look like in the future. Without a good workforce, America would not be able to run. Society needs adults who have a good education, who are willing to work in order to make it. If the education of young children is not good, then this will affect the American society as a whole. So that's what I was talking about before, about if students are not having a good education and go out into the workforce, are not able to provide good work to go into society to not make it collapse. But I talked about that before. What do teachers have to say? Teachers have made their voices loud for years about the subject. Teachers claim that the system is pushing people out and not pulling anyone in. They are overworked, underpaid, and burnt out. Teaching has become almost a joke, with there being little respect for teachers. Teachers really struggle with this issue that cause many side effects. So, when teachers are not being paid, teachers as a whole used to be respected way more than it is now. And with them not being paid enough, it decreases the respect even more. So now you're looking at a reality where the school system does not respect them, the parents do not respect them, nor do the students respect them. So they are constantly being disrespected and they're not being paid. And I feel like that's just not a good combination for anybody in any profession, like at all. And it's really hard. As someone that's in the education system, it's really hard to watch. Suggestions. So this is my personal opinion. I did not get this from any website, but I would suggest that school systems need to increase teachers' pay. Schools seems to have money to fund a lot of extra stuff that teachers and educators do not need. So I'm making a few cuts. So making a few cuts to pay teachers more will make a huge impact on education. It will increase the quality of teachers and the number of teachers and better education overall. So if you look, I included a chart on a couple ones that I had before, a couple slides before, about how the increase in education spending has gone up, and that is according to a Colorado study that teachers have done about what teachers had to say about their pay, and it shows a graph showing that the amount of money that education is spending is going up as the years go by, and the amount that teachers are being paid is consistently going down. And I feel like with all the extra stuff that is not needed in schools, they can make a few budget cuts to pay teachers more, and it would benefit them as a whole. But I don't know. I personally think that the people above higher up education are not in the classroom enough to know that this would happen, so it's not really their fault. But with everybody calling attention to it, with teachers and educators calling attention to it, it's really hard not to see and not to put the effort into. So I'm not in higher up education. I don't know what the answer is, but yeah, these are my references. I looked through several different websites, and I cited several things throughout my presentation, I guess you would call it. So, yeah, thank you.